Good day, grade 7 students, and welcome again to our English class for this week. We are already on week 6, and after this week, the next week will be our first quarter exam. So I hope you are ready, and this is one way for you to be ready with our lesson. So I hope you will listen very carefully with our lesson today. This is a kind of review for some of you. I know some of you have already this lesson when you were in your elementary days, but this is just a review for everyone, okay? So if you haven't learned this one, so this is a good time for you to learn this topic, okay? So today we will be talking about phrases, clauses, and sentences. Unsa day ni sila? Okay? Now let's see our outline. What are we going to learn about today? Okay? So today we will be learning about, number one, we will learn about the difference between a phrase and a clause. And then we will talk about independent and dependent clauses. Number three, we will be talking about sentences according to structure and sentences according to purpose. But ang kaning last nga two lessons, we will be talking about this one on our next video. So make sure after this video, you watch the second video. Okay? Now let's go to phrases. What is a phrase? Or what are phrases? Okay? Now phrases are any collection of words that behaves like a part of speech. And this does not have both a subject and a verb. So a phrase may have a subject or a phrase may have a verb, but it doesn't have the two of them. So ato mga examples is here. Let's say for example, the boy and the bus. So naatay pwedeng mahimong subject but wala tay verb. We will be running. It's a verb phrase but it doesn't have a subject. Or very quickly. It's just an adverb. Okay? So kana siya, these are phrases. Dapat wala siya subject and a verb. But if a group of words has a subject and a verb, we already call that one a clause. A clause is a group of words that have a subject and a verb. Remember that one, ha? A group of words that have a subject and a verb. Naa siya subject, naapod siya verb. Now, it may or may not express a complete thought. Pwede ra gyud siya, it may express a complete thought, pwede ra pog dili. Basta ang importante sa clause is that the most important thing in a clause is that it has both the subject and a verb. Let's say for example here, when I got home. What is the subject of the sentence? Of the clause? What is the subject? Good, I. Now, unsay gibuhat sa I? What is I doing there? Get, di ba? I get. So that is our subject and our verb. Therefore, it has a subject, it has a verb. Therefore, this is a clause. Our second example, the lights are not on. The lights are not on. So what is the subject here? The subject is good. The subject is lights. What is the verb? Linking verb siya. Linking verb are. Very good. The linking verb there is are. So naa siya subject, naa siya verb. Therefore, this group of words is a clause. And lastly, the table has 4 legs. Our subject in this sentence is good. The subject of the sentence is table. The verb is what? The verb is has. Therefore, naay subject, naay verb. Therefore, it is a clause. Okay? Nasabtan. Now, let's see which of the following clauses expresses a complete thought. Diba niingon man ko ninyo before, it may or may not express a complete thought, but how will we know? Okay, so I want you to read these clauses here. When I get home and the lights are not on. So, asa man nila ang ni-express og complete thought ug asa ang dili? Which clause does express a complete thought and which clause does not express a complete thought? I'll give you a minute. You pause this video and then you determine unsa nga clause, what clause expresses a complete thought and what clause does not. Okay? Are you done? Good. So, asa man ana be? Which of the following expresses a complete thought? Kompleto nga thought. Which one? When I get home or the lights are on? Are not on? Good. It's letter B. The lights are not on. So if a clause expresses a complete thought, we call that one an independent clause. And an independent clause is a group of words that have both the subject and a verb, ha? Nasa subject, nasa verb, kaya of course it's a clause. And expresses a complete thought. So, kompleto, inigbasa mo, when you read the clause, it's complete. Wala na kay kinahanglan nga lain pa. Sana all daily mo kinahanglan lain pa. Anyway, wala, nihugot si Sir Kapil, okay? So, kinahanglan, it can stand on its own. That's the point. An independent clause can stand on its own. Let's say, for example, ani atong mga examples. Sarah smiled. I waited for him. She wanted to become an engineer. So, these are all independent clauses. Okay? Kaya they can stand on their own. However, those nga dili ka stand on their own, we call them dependent clause. That means, ga-depende sila into something so that they can make sense. It's a group of words that does not have that has both the subject and a verb. Ha? And does not, dili siya mo express a complete thought. And it is not a complete sentence. A dependent clause, kinahanglan kuyugan niya ang usa ka independent clause para makahimo siya og meaning. Let's say, for example, here, when we get enough snow. I know we don't have snow, but another example, when we get enough snow. Like, okay, so, when we get enough snow, what man? Let's say, for example, para ma-complete ang sentence, dapat ang dependent clause, sumpayan nato og independent clause. We have to attach an independent clause to the dependent clause so that it will make sense. So if we want to make sense of our first example here, the sentence would go like this. When we get enough snow, we will shovel it. Okay? So if makagather na mo a lot of snow, so inyo na pwede padapin ng snow. And that is now a complete thought. But if this is the only clause that we have, and then, walay kuan, wala say sumpay, wala say ka-depend on, kaya this is a dependent clause man, it has to have something na iyang ma-depend to. So, if wala gani, then, it does not make sense. Let's say, for example, here, because I was upset. Okay, na ay subject, na ay verb, it has a subject, it has a verb, but does it, make a complete thought? Diba, dili? Oh, because I was upset. So, wala ka, I was angry at you because I was upset. Now, that's a complete thought. Kaya imo magisumpayan siya og independent clause. Okay? Lastly, which book I want to read. Which book I want to read next. Okay? So, which book I want to read next? Dayon. Okay, so yun kinahanglan nimo siya sumpayan. Now, look at all the dependent clauses. And awan niyo ang tanang dependent clauses. Unsa may reason nganong ma-dependent clause siya? Because of what? Because of what? Good. Naay mga words na gibutang dira nga would make them dependent clause. And these are the common words. I will show you the common words that make common words that are known to make dependent clauses. So, mauna siya ang mga words, take note of this one, nga mauna siya atong mga words nga makahimo og dependent clauses because these words are either subordinating conjunctions or they are relative pronouns. Let's say, for example, ang atong relative pronouns here kanang which, who, whom, whose. Okay, kanang that. It's our relative pronouns. Mga subordinating conjunctions na to ay kanang after, although, as if, as, because, before. And if ato na isumpay sa usa ka clause, then that would mean nga ang kanang clause is a dependent clause. Kinahanglan na to si isumpay into something, into a dependent clause. Dili na to siya pwede masumpay into another dependent clause. Okay, let's think of the clauses as a building. Okay, the independent clauses are ang haligi. Okay, and the dependent clauses are the flooring. Nakita ba mo kuan. Kita ba mo wall nga kanang flooring nga kanang mulupad ra? Di ba dili? It has to have a kanang support. It has to have a kanang beam nga iyang masaligan. Di ba? The same pod with sentences. Ang dependent clause is just like the wall. It has some, dapat na say something nga masuportaan siya. And that's the beam. Okay? And the beam there is our independent clauses. Dapat isumpay siya sa independent clauses. Okay? So, if there are any questions, pwede. Okay, let's have a practice pa di. Excited si Sir, excited. Okay, let's have a practice. Determine the independent and dependent clauses in this sentence. So the sentence is, although she is hungry, she will give him some of her food. Okay? So asa ani ang atong dependent clause? Asa pud ani atong independent clause? Which one? I'll give you 30 seconds. Pause this video and then determine asa ang dependent o independent clause. Okay? Write them down and let's check later on. Humana? Are you done? Okay? Sige, so asa man ang independent clause ani niya? The independent clause is in good. And then she will give him some of her food. Because that can stand alone. Dili siya manginahanglan og something to, to stand alone. But ang atong dependent clause is, of course, the other one. Although she is hungry. Okay, if we're going to cover the independent clause, ng atong sentence kay although she is hungry, it doesn't make sense. So atong sentence, although she is hungry. Then what? Diba? So dili siya kompleto. It's not complete. Therefore, it is a dependent clause because the phrase although she is hungry depends on the she will give him food. She will give him some of her food. Okay? So mao na siya. Okay? Now don't worry, we will have a lot of exercises, but make sure you answer the exit ticket first. Okay? Make sure you answer the exit ticket. Once you answer the exit ticket, I will send you the link to the exercise. And then the exercise, you have to perfect it. Okay? And if you have questions, don't worry. I will be meeting you tomorrow on Tuesday for like 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. And I'll just explain the things that are complicated. Okay? So make sure you have your questions. You prepare them para inigabot na to when we go to our question hour. You can just ask your questions. Di na mo maghuna-una. You don't have to think about your questions because you have prepared them already. Okay? Okay, and please don't forget to watch the second part of this video. This video has a second part. Okay? So thank you everyone for joining this video. I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.